Okay, this is the second part. Okay, this is the second part of chapter 24. Electrolyte balance. Electrolytes are biologically important ionic compounds that conduct electrical currents in water. They dissolve into the water, or we say they're soluble in water. And most of them are inorganic substances, but not all. They're measured in milliequivalents per liter because we couldn't possibly get the actual number of individual atoms or molecules. So we use a equivalency. There are three types of electrolytes. You have acids, bases, and salts. What we see here illustrated is an example of a salt. It's not the only salt, but it is a salt, meaning that it doesn't release hydrogen ions in solution or hydroxyl ions in solution. And that would be the acids and bases. Okay. Review from chemistry. Cations are the ions with a positive charge because they have lost electrons. And that would be the sodium ion that we see here with the plus charge. You'd also see it as Na plus. Anions are the negatively charged ions where you have a negative charge because they've gained electrons. And so chloride ions, capital C, lowercase l, negative charge. Okay. So, electrolyte concentrations. We're going to look at the yellow before we look at the individual ions. So, here the yellow, you have 30 milliosmoles per liter in the blood plasma. That's our extracellular fluid. And then you have 300 milliosmoles per liter, which is the intracellular fluid. And that's where they came up with normal saline. It's the overall concentration. It may not be the identical individual ions, but the overall concentration is the same. So you have a table to look at several ions and electrolytes. Calcium is the most numerous cation in the body. Calcium is mostly extracellular, but note that it's in the bone tissue. Less calcium ions in the intracellular fluid or cytoplasm. Calcium ions are used for calcium ions are used for coagulation of blood, which we've covered this semester. We've used it for muscle contraction, which we covered in the first semester, and we use it for synaptic transmission. And that's also covered in the other semester. Calcium is also used in membrane transport as co-transport. And there's several others, but those are the big ones. Okay. Sodium is the most numerous extracellular cation. So you can see the big green versus the short green in the cytoplasm. Most of the sodium is extracellular. It doesn't mean there isn't any intracellular, but most of it's extracellular. Sodium use. We use sodium to conduct electrical impulses. We use sodium ions for electrolyte balance, pH balance, fluid balance. It's also used in membrane transport. Potassium is the most numerous intracellular cation. Big green in the intracellular, smaller one in the blood plasma. So most of the same uses for potassium are also going to be the same as we had for sodium. So we use it for impulse conduction. We use it for fluid and electrolyte balance. We use it for membrane transport. It's also used to cause hyperpolarization in neurons to reduce impulses. So that would be the cations. For the anions, the most numerous intracellular cation or anion is chloride ions. It's going to be where the sodium is. So intracellular, you have less. Extracellular, you have more. Chloride is used for fluid and electrolyte balance. It's also used to make hydrochloric acid, and the chemical or molecular formula is hydrogen and chloride, H plus and Cl negative. In the stomach, we use that to digest. Chloride is also needed to hyperpolarize certain cells because you can open up chloride channels and hyperpolarize, make it more positive by moving the chlorine inside the cell. The chloride is also used in membrane transport. Okay, then you have phosphate. Phosphate is the most numerous intracellular anion, smaller amounts in the blood. Phosphate is used to make DNA, RNA, ATP, phospholipids. Phosphate is also a chemical buffer, so it helps with pH balance. You have a third anion, which is, oops, where am I at? Bicarbonate, HCO3 with a negative charge. Most of the bicarbonate is extracellular in the blood. Smaller amounts intracellular. Carbon dioxide is bicarbonate is used to transport carbon dioxide. It's also our main chemical buffer. Hormones that regulate electrolyte levels. Aldosterone, if you have a drop in sodium chloride levels and an increase in potassium levels, we secrete aldosterone from the adrenal cortex. So it stimulates tubular reabsorption for sodium chloride to increase sodium chloride levels. And it increases tubular secretion, tubular secretion of potassium so that we can get rid of excess potassium. Because we mentioned how excess potassium can cause skeletal muscles to reduce in activity. It also causes cardiac muscle tissue to slow down. Okay. Another couple of hormones. These two both help regulate calcium levels, and this should be a review from the skeletal system. Calcitonin is secreted by the thyroid gland. It's going to lower blood calcium levels, by stimulating the osteoblasts to build bone tissue. Parathyroid hormone, secreted by the parathyroid glands, is going to do the opposite. It increases blood calcium levels, but it's also going to alter phosphate excretion. So here, parathyroid hormone is going to stimulate the osteoclasts to break down bone tissue, dump it into blood for use. It's also going to reduce the excretion of calcium in urine, and it's also going to alter phosphate levels. Typically, the parathyroid hormone is going to help decrease the phosphate levels. Okay, so that is the end of part B of chapter 24.